Hey guys, good afternoon. I'm back. So, made some lunch, got some food in my belly, got my responsibilities met. Interesting, that fell. Well, whatever. We'll talk about it after. Anyway, yeah, did what I had to do. I've got about an hour before I got to do the next thing, which is go to the dentist. Who doesn't love that, right? Yeah. Good times, let me tell you. So it's been a weird day, guys. Been a weird day. I woke up with a headache. I think I mentioned that in the video earlier today. So I slept until the very last minute, and I did not do the reading this morning. I did not do my normal morning routine, as a matter of fact. And, I think it kind of threw me off my game. I think it did. I had kind of a rough morning so far. Couldn't tell you why. No reason for that to be happening. My headache's still kind of there, but anyway, I do know that we're coming up on spring equinox. I guess those energies, and still coming out of the full moon energy. Saturn making a big movement, so it may be astrologically related. I don't know, but and my dog is literally chasing her tail on my bed for no reason. Very strange. Anyway, enough about me. Let's talk about the energies for today. Maybe the cards will give us some clue. I don't know. Are you guys feeling it? Like, I don't know. It's very weird energy. When you have those emotions that you can't tie back to a particular situation, right? Sometimes you feel things and there's no avenue with which to find the trigger of that emotion. I think therein lies as my issue today. But just wondering, is anybody else feeling it? I kind of feel like there's a level of an ego death there. That can happen in your spirituality when you have come into a lot of wisdom and knowledge and assimilated all of these things that you've learned about yourself. We call it, my friends and I, we call it a death, if you will. I don't mean to make light of death, because I do know that it affects people differently, but in my circle, we'll call each other and say, oh, I died yesterday. It's kind of a funny thing. But I digress. Anyway, let's get the current energies for today. Wow, that was a quick one. Eight of Swords in reverse. Coming out of the overthinking. Coming out of the chains that bind that we put there ourselves. Swords are thoughts and words. And I kind of call it the mini devil card. You see she can't escape, but there's no other mermaid or person or entity there that put her there. You can't see who put her there because she put herself there. So Eight of Swords coming out of that energy. Those swords are falling away. And this could be that you've had such strong emotional boundaries. Maybe you haven't let people in. Maybe you thought you did, but you didn't. Maybe those emotional boundaries are starting to weaken, and you are starting to let yourself be vulnerable around people. Maybe you've entered a new safe place, and it was new, so it was exciting, right? Because anything new is always scary and exciting all at the same time. And then once you kind of settle into it, it's a whole new level of scary, because it's something you have not experienced before. But this is freedom. This is liberation. This is feeling that it's okay. And that can feel, we've talked a lot lately about how the way we've been raised was toxic, and the way we've been taught, wasn't necessarily the right way, or at least the right way for you and me. And so when we start to experience these new, healthier things, environments, if you will, it can be scary. It can be challenging. It can feel, I don't know that we let ourselves feel as vulnerable as we think we do, right? And that could be some of these swords, like, oh yeah, I show my vulnerabilities, blah, 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 blah. Have you really? Have you shown them to yourself? Do you know what makes you tick? We talk a lot about, I think, in astrology, at least I use the analogy of, with your sun, moon, rising sign, the gift, right? The gift, the sun is the gift wrapping, and And the moon sign, the part that you have to like uncover, would be the watch. And I always use a watch for a specific reason inside the gift, because the ascendant sign is what makes the watch tick. If you take it apart and see what makes it tick. And isn't it funny that we use that analogy in the world? You know, when you say what makes you tick, everybody knows what that means. So maybe looking at your astrology, you know, where's your ascendant sign? Is there some sort of conjunct placement? I don't know. I'm not an astrologer, so I'm just using words that I think sound good. Is there a placement happening today in the astrology that is affecting you in some way? Or maybe not. I don't know. Anyway, liberation and freedom is the energy that we're coming into. Or that we're in, I should say. That's the energy that we're in. Can I get some more about this Eight of Swords? Can I get some more about the Eight of Swords? Nine of Cups in reverse. Wishes unfulfilled. You or we or I may have wished for something, you know, manifested it, thought we were doing everything perfect, you know, all the spells, all the right ingredients, and then it kind of fizzled. It fizzled out. Those cups are empty. And not really maybe understanding why. You know, that paired with the Eight of Swords in reverse, you know, freedom from maybe tying yourself to a specific outcome. Maybe you still are attached to outcomes and you don't even know it. But this is like, you're very dissatisfied here, you know, very dissatisfied. You wanted it the way you wanted it and it didn't come that way. And maybe it's there and you just can't see it, you know, maybe you just can't see it. Because see here, she's blindfolded. Maybe your wish did come true, but just not in the way that you expected it. And so now it's giving you a sense of freedom that you're not used to, a sense of freedom that you've never been given, and you don't even feel like it's a healthy environment anymore, because it's so healthy and so opposed to what you were raised on or what you believe was healthy, that you can't see the blessing for what it is. Okay, that's what I'm trying to say. Because everything's a blessing. Everything that comes into our life is a blessing. Even the curses, you know, and I hate to use that word curses, but I guess it's blessing and a curse, you know, that old adage saying, whatever. But even the bad things that come into our lives can be delivered and meant to be a blessing. You know, they're a blessing in disguise, the silver lining, whatever you want to call it. Anyway, Spirit Source, God Creator, can I get messages for today, please? Messages for today. Messages for today, please. Can I get some messages for today? Fell on the floor. Well, nope. Actually, you know what? It fell on my foot. Interesting. The Emperor. Wow. Number 4 card. I saw a lot of 4s today on the way home from therapy. Anyway, the Emperor. This is King Triton, right? He is the embodiment of all 4 kings. Maybe that's the number 4. Maybe that's what that means. You know, we had number 4 Emperor. All 4 kings are embodied in the Emperor. So that would be the mature, logical, masculine energy of passion and love and resources and thoughts and words and in the regular tarot, I'm just looking at the cheat sheet here, guys, sorry. It's respect, it's a father figure, and it's strategic planning. So show yourself a little bit of respect here, you know, plan accordingly. Think about the father. What does the father do? Or I should say, what do we expect him to do? Because it's not always what he does, right? We think about, you know, most people think about their dads as dad protects you, right? Dad gives you that safe place to be, whether it's to be yourself, to be vulnerable, to be hurt, angry, whatever you perceive to be a negative emotion is usually safe to express in front of your dad, you know, at least for little girls, you know, daddy's little girl, there's that thing. For boys, it's different. It's actually quite opposite, right? Because boys are told boys don't cry, don't show emotion, blah, blah, blah. So boys go to their moms, right? Moms allow boys to cry. Moms let boys cry. That divine feminine, just allowing things to happen. But that and maybe it's just a mixture, you know, you say boys go to their moms and girls go to their dads, you know, it's that needing the opposite energy. You know, if you're a feminine energy, you know, and this could mean as a boy or a girl, if you're that feminine energy, you're looking to be, and you're feeling that vulnerable, then you maybe feel that need to be protected. You need that safe place. And maybe your mom gave it to you. Maybe it wasn't your dad. Maybe she was the masculine energy in the relationship. It doesn't matter. Either way, you know, this is that protective, like, dad energy. So do that for yourself. You know, we talk a lot about parenting yourself and shadow work and inner child and blah, blah, blah. Do you give yourself a safe place to be whatever it is you're feeling? Do you allow your emotions to happen, or do you fight them and try to suppress them? I think what that card is saying is, you know what? It's okay. Give yourself a safe place to be whatever it is you are. If you're happy, sad, angry, lonely, jealous, whatever. You need to be the safe place for yourself now, right? You're an adult now. That's what they mean when they say parent yourself. You know, quit looking for that validation, for that safe place outside of yourself. The safe place is not the four walls around you. The safe place is not the person you're with that protects you. The safe place is not the person that will defend you in a bar fight. The safe place is you accepting yourself and understanding yourself, and understanding that you're not going to understand yourself, you know, and being okay with that. You know, that's that message, I think. Yeah. Then we've got 8 of Cups in reverse. So this is not walking away from things that no longer serve you. Oh, and the card fell. Interesting. And we've got 2 8s. 2 8s. And we went from 8 to 9 to 8. 8, 9, 8. Interesting. Yeah. Anyway, 8 of Cups in reverse. So in the upright, it's walking away from things that no longer serve you, no matter how invested you are. You know, no matter how invested you are. And actually, I'm seeing from this something else that could be interpreted is something walking away from you. And you don't even know it, or you're losing something. But 8 of Cups in reverse is, you know, the separation, the walking away part, you're overinvested now, so now you feel the need to stay. It's not letting things go gracefully, literally. It's, or someone returns from the past. You know, maybe somebody did let you go, or you let someone go, and you're kind of feeling that nudge to pick up the phone, or maybe the phone rings and it's somebody you haven't talked to in a long time. Maybe it's whatever situation you walked away from that was not serving you then. Maybe the energies have changed on both sides. And if the energies change on both sides, if everybody's done the work, done the shadow work, then they can come back together as different people. You know, a lot of times I've heard tarot readers say, you know, oh, this relationship's coming to an end and blah, 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 and you've advanced and they haven't, and blah, blah, blah. And I always tell people, you know, they're like, oh, there's someone better for you out there. Someone new is coming in. Someone new could be the same person, guys. It could be the same person, that just, they're different. So from the energetic perspective, it is a new energy that's coming in. That new energy could be carried by an old person. Keep that in mind. We do a lot of shadow work. We do a lot of changing. We do a lot of accepting of ourselves and work on ourselves every day, and we grow and change and evolve. It would be egotistical to think that you are the only person that's ever done that, or that I'm the only person that's ever done that. You know, we talked this week about seeing people through our younger selves' eyes. Give people a chance to show you who they are now. Re-meet these people in your life that may be coming back to you, or that you're going back to. You know, maybe give them an opportunity to understand that you are a different person. You know, understand that they're probably looking at you through their younger selves' eyes, and give them a minute, give them a beat, give them a chance to understand that things changed. All right, tell me more about this 8 of Cups. Tell me more about this 8 of Cups. Who's coming back? I think somebody's coming back, guys. That's what I'm feeling. I don't know. Or you're going back to an old person. Tell me more about this person. Okay, we've got the Hierophant in reverse, the 5, the number 4 major arcana to the 5 major arcana. And we went 8, 9, and we got a lot of reversals except for the dad. Look at all the reversals. And the flipping thing fell again. The Hierophant is going within, and that's doing the shadow work, literally, like getting your wisdom, getting your knowledge, turning it to wisdom, assimilating it, turning these new ideas and things into habits. I mean, look at all the books. And the books are, let's see, Legends of, what does that say, guys? I don't even know. Legends of something, World, Invasion 1809. Yeah, I can't. The rest of them are just too small. Anyway, point being, I guess, doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. You've been doing the work. You've been doing the studying and the learning and the assimilating, and you've turned this knowledge into wisdom, and you've mastered certain aspects and areas. And now you're writing the story, right? You realize you're in control, but you're very isolated. There's nobody else around here. And we can't even tell, other than the bubbles, is she underwater or not? I tend to think she is, which would mean subconscious, under the surface, right, under the sea. But we got her in reverse. So first thing off, 2 major life lessons, bookending, surrounding this person coming back. So this person may have given you a lesson in the past and is back to give you a new lesson. Who knows? I feel like that's a soulmate, like soulmate cycles, right? I think Steve's Love Tarot talks about the soulmate cycles that we're in, and for some reason Cancer is the hot spot of the connection. He's got a whole blog post about why we're all honorary Cancers right now, and I couldn't really explain it. It has something to do with the astrology and where the placements are and blah blah blah, but basically Cancer is the center of the soulmate connection right now. So if this is in fact a soulmate coming back, maybe check out Steve's Love Tarot. I think he just did a reading a couple hours ago on the soulmate connection, but if you're specifically looking for that information, I'm sure his readings will give you a lot more detail with the astrology and that than I will here, because I don't really read other people. I try to read for you, but that's okay. Anyway, I digress. Big long-winded way of saying I'm not going to give you the full analogy of your soulmate cycle right now. So the Hierophant in reverse is originality and its problems with authority. Oh, that's what it means traditionally. I don't see that here. Do you? I don't see that. Problems with authority. I don't feel like there's even an authority figure in there. I feel like she's a librarian. I feel like she is the author, right? Maybe this is letting your story write you. Quit. Maybe. Paired with this card, it literally is just confirming. Quit looking at the past. Are you looking at things from a historical lens? I talked this morning about the temple, remember? And if you didn't watch this morning, this is a quick little update, just saying I was going to be late, but it was like a little 5-minute words of wisdom thing. They talked about the temple and letting people in now and stop preventing foreigners from entering this temple because they mean you no harm. In the past they did, but now they don't. I think that's what this card means. Quit looking at things through a historical lens. And the father card, if you put them all together, the father being, what were you taught? What is your authority figure? Your dad, right? Growing up, at least in my household, dad was the disciplinarian, right? He held the whip, if you will. We got whipped with a belt. That's the way they did it back in the 70s. I'm not saying I was abused. I'm just saying spankings were a thing back then. And dad was the one to dispense the punishment, right? So we have a certain level, we have a certain belief system, we have a certain story that's been written that we have rewritten over and over again in our lives. And this person coming back, I do believe it's a person coming back, guys. I don't know why. This person coming back is not the person you remember. They're a new energy. They've done some work. Give them a chance. You know what? What if all of this is nothing but you? What if you look in the mirror and you're still seeing yourself from a historical lens. I will give you a very good example, and I will show a lot of vulnerability by telling you this story, guys, but I feel like I need to tell it because maybe somebody out there needs to hear it. So I am actually going to hit on my vape and take a sip of coffee before I tell you this story. So how's that? Give me 1 second. Yep, it's a vape coffee story. So anyway, I had a situation in my group therapy today. Walked in. We did our goals setting and stuff for the week. No big deal. Everybody went through. I told mine. As I got done talking about my goals, I got very tearful. And I'm saying tearful because I'm not entirely sure it was sad yet. And I stayed that way for 3 solid hours. I think I kind of maybe scared the therapist because I usually talk quite a bit in therapy and I didn't say a word today other than my goals. And I stayed. I even got up and left the room at one point, went and splashed some cold water on my face. Remember we talked about that cold water helping. And it still didn't help. Anyway, we were talking about emotional regulation. And I just would not stop this crying thing. I have these spells, guys. I don't know. Maybe you guys have them. Maybe it's me. Whatever. The tears would not stop as much as I willed them to stop. And we were talking about the emotional regulation, and it was they were talking about myths about emotion. And one statement that he made. Okay, guys, that was the weirdest thing that's ever happened. My phone just decided, it looked like it was powering down. It's a full battery, and then it just went to the home screen for no apparent reason in the middle of that story. Maybe it's significant. Anyway, one of the myths that the therapist read from the book, that our homework is to go and challenge this myth, is that certain emotions are bad in a situation, right? Because emotions are neither good nor bad. They just are. And another one was that negative emotions show weakness. Okay, well, I guess you have to, and the argument was in class that what's a negative emotion, right? Because some negative emotions get a bad rap and they're not negative. And that takes us back to the first statement, right? Emotions are neither good or bad. They just are. So if they just are, how can you assign positive and negative to them? Anyway, I digress. The point being, the statement that got me was about crying and about how culturally, from a cultural perspective, now this wasn't just in my household, this was the norm growing up. If you cried, people called you a crybaby, right? And you were too sensitive, right? That was a huge thing in my house. I was constantly being told, you're too sensitive, you're too sensitive. What are you crying for? Quit your crying, I'll give you something to cry about. What are you being such a crybaby about? And so crying in my house growing up was something to be shamed for, or to be ashamed of, I should say. If you cried, you showed weakness, you showed people how to hurt you, you were open to criticisms. So crying for me personally, traditionally, was something that you fought tooth and nail. I don't care if the tears end up coming out of your ears because you wouldn't let them come out of your eyes. It was just not allowed. It wasn't allowed. Bottom line, it just was not allowed. And even in my group of friends and whatnot, if you started crying for some reason, oh, you're a crybaby, you're whatever. Anyway, this hit me hard today. And then it was weird because I got home and now I'm totally fine. I don't feel the need to cry. It's very weird, very strange dynamic that I noticed today, but I noticed it. I was aware of it. I now know that I have shadow work to do about crying. And I know now that if somebody sees me cry, and I think that was the part I struggled with today, was I was in a room of 8 people, guys. How fucking embarrassing is that? Sorry, I swore again. And you can't stop. And you're affecting the group. The energy is just like kind of converging on you like I don't know. I can't explain it. And I give my therapist credit. He stepped over it. He stepped through it very, very compassionately. And he made certain to talk about certain tools that we could put in our toolbox with which to deal with these emotions, such as splashing cold water on your face, at which point I got up and left the room and went and splashed cold water on my face. But didn't really help. Sorry. Maybe it did. Maybe that's why I'm good now. Either way, I guess the point being, guys, is do you give yourself a safe place to meet yourself again? You know, is your new self, is your old self accepting of your new self and the changes that are coming about and those limiting beliefs that we were given growing up? You know, we got to shed those limiting beliefs. And this is, in fact, what we wished for, guys. We wished for healing. And this is the work. This is the work. This is getting out of our own head. This is putting those swords down. Quit calling myself, for me, a crybaby. You know what? Crying is healing. It is letting emotions out. It is your cup spilling over. It is a guidance system. It is showing you something that you need to heal, something you need to look at. I know that. I'm aware of that. In the moment of doing it, not so aware of that. Just trying to make it stop. Not gonna lie. So anyway, yeah. Big message for today. Give yourself a break, guys. Let yourself feel your emotions, because they're not good, they're not bad, they just are. And understand that you're a different person. You're not the little 6-year-old that's being yelled at for crying by your dad or your mom or your friends. You're not the little 8-year-old that's being called a crybaby. Let yourself cry. It's okay. You know, the ocean is salt water. Your tears are salt water. I tell you guys all the time with self-care, take a salt bath. There is healing in that salt, the salt of the earth. You know, I mean, I could go on and on about the salt thing, but I won't. Anyway, let's get some advice for today. Advice for today from my mermaids. Advice for today. These two flipped over. Support and solitude. And then what fell was be spontaneous. I kind of like that, right? Support and solitude. Do you guys let yourselves be supported when these things, like the story I just told you, when they happen? Do you reach out for support from your tribe, from your community? Or do you isolate? I do both. I'm not gonna lie, I do both. There's times I'll reach out, and then there's times I don't. You know, it's you don't want to be that burden on your tribe, on your support system. So you maybe isolate a little bit. But you know what? They're there. Reach out. They don't know what's going on with you until you tell them what's going on with you. So, and then maybe, you know, I think I spoke yesterday about telling somebody, you know, something just to make their day. Maybe reach out to your tribe. Maybe it's time for you to reach out and say, you know what, you've done a lot for me over the past, I don't know, year, month, day, whatever. And I'm in a good place now. Let me check in with you. Is there anything you need? You know, don't just reach out for support, but be the support. You got to be both. You know, it's that law of giving and receiving. Give support to get support. You know what I mean? And then maybe solitude. You know, maybe it's a balance of both. It's a balance of both. Be your own tribe sometimes, and be spontaneous. Look at her. Oh my God, I love how voluptuous she is, you guys. I'm sorry. I have an issue with my weight. I was raised by an anorexic mother, so I have a very unhealthy relationship with food. So every time I see a bigger woman, or mermaid in this case, owning her curves, if you will, it just warms my heart. But anyway, be spontaneous. She is the pearl of the ocean. Look at her. She's within the clam or oyster or whatever makes a pearl. That you may have been the piece of sand that irritated people around you, because in shadow work, as a light worker, as a shadow worker, you're meant to irritate people in that way, to solicit change, to solicit growth, to invite it. And at the end of the day, guys, when they turn that pearl, when they turn that piece of sand into a pearl, you will have planted the seed for that, right? Maybe you are their lesson. Maybe they're your lesson. Either way, it has nothing to do with be spontaneous, but go out and do something fun for yourself. You know, be spontaneous. Maybe, you know, I live a very busy life where I am constantly on the go. I live by my calendar on my phone. I mean, if it's not on my phone, it doesn't get done, because I literally have minutes between responsibilities. You know, I'm taking 5 classes. I volunteer with 3 different organizations. I'm creating a new organization at school, the Active Minds organization, helping to facilitate that. I dedicate 9 hours a week to my own personal mental health and therapy, and trying to keep up with my friends and my tribe. I mean, guys, I live by a schedule. So I think what this is saying is just be spontaneous, do something out of the norm, do something not in your schedule, right? Yeah. So those are the messages for today. We got a lot of blue. Look at all the blues. Very blue and teal. Third eye, throat chakra energy. Third eye energy, I will say this as a side note. I did wake up with a massive headache, which I still have. A lot of times, guys, that can be an ascension symptom. It's, you know, your third eye is out of practice, if you will, and it can, when you start to have these big awakenings, if you will, I don't know if you want to call them awakenings, what do you call it? Understanding, insight, whatever word you want to insert there, your body will react to it. You know, your mental health is growing, and it can be uncomfortable. And when that happens, sometimes you can end up with a headache. They call it an ascension symptom. So there's that. Okay, guys, I am babbling now, so I'm going to go. I'm going to go watch a video. And we had a few things happen, some things fall and whatnot. I'm not entirely sure what I was saying when those things happened. And oddly enough, we didn't hear from my dogs today. Yay! How exciting is that? And the phone shut off. So let's go back and revisit those things, and I'll have an explanation for you here in a minute. Love and light. Hey guys, what's poppin'? So sorry, this reading and video have taken me all day because I'm doing it in pieces. But anyway, I did watch the video. It took me a while. I had to actually watch 2 videos because it cut off, if you remember. And oddly enough, in my iPhone, right, when you save a video, it saves in order. You know, the first one, the second one would be next to it. The second video saved first. It was out of order. So I found that interesting, plus where it had cut off, but I'll get to that point. Just bear with me. All right, so a lot of astrological talk in the beginning with Steve's Love Tarot, guys. I'm not an astrologer. Go check out. He had a 3-card reading today that really kind of resonated with me, and I kind of felt like it explained my video and my situation a little bit better. So definitely check that out. I don't want to take his credit from him. He's an amazing energy and astrology person, and I am not. So there's that. Let's see. The first thing I said was my dog was chasing her tail on the bed. I actually looked that up just to see, you know, what is the meaning of that besides the obvious, right? Chasing your tail, you're kind of going in circles. And it said to be conspicuous by your absence. I found that interesting. I found that very interesting because I had this theme this week of being left out. Conspicuous by your absence and then being left out. I don't know. There's something to that. I'll have to revisit that. And then I also had mentioned, it's funny I said revisit that because in the video I even said revisiting yourself. Anyway, okay, so the dog started fighting when I was explaining the ego death, which is essentially like a spiritual awakening. You know, we have many of them over the course of our lifetimes. And a lot of times it's a realization about yourself. You could call that a spiritual awakening, a realization about a situation where you start to, you know, it's the same thing that happens over and over again, and suddenly you see it for what it is instead of what you thought it was. That could be considered a spiritual awakening. And that's when the dog started fighting. So I feel like maybe the situation, the astrology, whatever, it's kind of time for one of those mini awakenings, if you will. The card fell. The first card was really quick. And I said, oh, that was a quick one. And Steve's Love Tarot, his reading today was 3 quick cards. So maybe something there. And then in the card, I said she put herself there. Now, this theme throughout the reading was about possibly a soulmate, right? Talking about being on a new level. You haven't experienced before, so you are new, right? So if you're at a new level and you haven't experienced these things before, then you are literally a new person. The old person coming back in the 8 of Cups reversed, that could be the old you. that didn't occur to me till after I was watching the video. You could be giving yourself these lessons. You could be screaming for attention. Your inner self, your shadow self, screaming for attention. That would be an old person coming back to teach you a new lesson. So there's that. I talked about a gift, uncovering, unwrapping. In that same kind of mindset, you know, your old self could be coming back to help you identify those things that you need to uncover and unwrap within yourself. And literally figuring it out, you know, what makes you tick. You know, I talked a lot today about I had this crying spell. And I hesitated to call it sadness because I'm learning that maybe it's not, right? But I need to unwrap it. I need to uncover it. I need to see what it means. So the other thing I noticed in the video is I said a lot, you, we, or I. You know, I said at one point, it could be you, could be we, could be I. If we put them all together, you might be your old self. The word you, when I say you, we would be your integrated self, and I would be your new self. So if you look at the video and go back and kind of think about every time I said that, as talking about, instead of me personally and you, the viewer, that I'm talking about you and your old self, and then your combined self. I said at one point you can't see it. Which you are you going to be today, right? If the dog is chasing its tail, are you the head or the tail? You know, you think of that I can never remember the name of it, the snake that eats its own tail. Are you the head or are you the tail? You know, some days you're the head, some days you're the tail. Anyway, then we talked that the card fell on my foot instead of on the floor, which was very weird because why would a card fall on top of my foot? Well, feet mean understanding. And what was the card that fell on my foot? It was the Emperor, which represented the father. It was King Triton, who is the ruler of the depths of the sea. Well, if the depths of the sea are your subconscious, then you need to understand that your subconscious is in control during these spells, if you will. And I'll get to this whole spell part. But then think about what King Triton does, right? He protects Ariel. He didn't want her to go to land. He didn't want her to follow her dreams because he thought she was going to get hurt. And in the end, he ended up giving in. You know, she taught him that it was okay to trust humans, that not all humans were bad. And if you think about it, your younger self probably does think all humans are bad. Your younger self is the one in control right now. If you were hurt a lot, that would make sense. And then if you think about the word protect, how do you protect yourself? You know, we had this question today in class, and it was who or what protects you? Well, I think I found it very interesting. I didn't have a person's name there. But anyway, we talked a little more about protection and how the emotion of fear literally is what helps us protect ourselves. You know, if we stumbled on a bear and we weren't afraid of it, then we wouldn't protect ourselves from that bear. We wouldn't run, if you will. So that root chakra, that fear, that Maslow's hierarchy of needs type thing is what literally protects us, right? So sometimes those emotions, as negative as they may feel or as they may be perceived to be, they protect us. So keep that in mind. The Eight of Cups, not walking away, that's what came out when the card, the first card out, fell, which was the Eight of Swords in reverse. So it fell when I said not walking away from things that no longer serve you. Maybe you're not walking away from it. Maybe you're walking to it. There's something there. Someone new, it could be you. The words in there were legend, world, and 1809. Well, think about your legend. Your legend could be a couple things. You know, if you think of a legend on a map, it's those symbols that mean something else. Maybe your emotions are the legend, and you have to figure out what that legend piece means, or the legend of, you know, legendary, like your past. Either way. And then the world, I said the world was written on the book. Well, the world card is the end of a cycle. I don't know what 1809 is. A lot of 8s and a lot of 9s in my world today. But 9s would be the completion. 8s would be fast moving energy, I guess. I don't know. I don't really know what 8s mean to me. So what do they mean to you? And then, let's see, you are the soulmate. So maybe continuing to look with old eyes. You know, the first video I did this morning was about looking at things with your younger self's eyes. So if you are coming back and noticing that you're looking at things with your younger self's eyes, then that is an old version of you coming back and you've noticed it. So that's pretty beautiful, I think. I did talk about spells. Okay, so when I was talking about the Nine of Cups in reverse, I said, you know, she cast a spell. And then I said I had a spell. I have these spells where I just cry, right? Think about what a spell is, guys. What is a spell? Think about what that means to you. I know back in the day, we would call spells, you know, it's magic, obviously. But then, I mean, as far as like people, it would be like an emotional breakdown. You know, she's having a spell. Or some sort of unhealthy behavior or whatnot during a certain period of time. You know, oh, mom's just having one of her spells. So again, historical, right? We don't say that anymore. Nobody says that anymore. One statement that he made was the exact word that I said when that video cut off. I think because it's more than one statement, but it could be one statement that triggers you. It could be one more than, and my therapist likes to use the word reminder instead of trigger. And I think it's actually more descriptive, right? Because trigger, I mean, you think about trigger, then you're going to explode. A reminder is, you know, a little gentler. So that was weird. When I came back on the second video, we were talking about challenging the myth. Well, this whole week has been about challenging the myth of what you were taught, shedding limiting beliefs, shedding tears, you know, shedding. There's that. Think about what shedding is. It's a snake sheds a layer of skin. It peels off, you know, and then new skin is revealed. And that new skin is sensitive, guys. It's just sensitive. So think about like when you have a burn that heals, you know, that old skin tears off, that new skin's a little tender underneath, right? So think about that. Talked about crying. Obviously, it's a cultural perspective on crying. Each generation has a cultural perspective on some sort of wound, right? For me, it was boys don't cry, and crying was just, I mean, just was not acceptable when I was growing up. And then maybe the next generation, 10, 15 years later, anger wasn't allowed. So they don't know how to process anger. I don't know how to process crying, because whatever emotion that makes me cry, I actually cry when I get mad too. So there's that. And then I talked a lot about tools and toolbox. So we have an emotional body, right? And we have tools with which to handle those emotions. Some of our toolboxes are empty. Think about a toolbox. There's more than one tool in there. You may not have the right tool. Maybe somebody borrowed the tool and didn't bring it back. I was just telling my girlfriend the other day about, I have a toolbox that I keep, and I went to pack it the other day and it's empty because everybody keeps borrowing my tools and they don't return them. But anyway, tools, yeah, toolbox. And then crying is healing. You know, I talked about maybe you got what you wished for. If you wished for healing, which I probably did at some point, it may show up in the form of crying, and didn't recognize the blessing for what it was. Would have been the Nine of Cups in reverse, right? Salt water, the salt of the earth, a lot of salt. Think about what salt is. What does salt do? Salt cures meat, right? That's what they used to preserve meat in the old days. So salt is a mineral that you get from the ocean. You know, dried ocean water, you get salt. Himalayan pink salt is from an ocean. And it's very healing. And think about the ocean, right? We have a whole ocean theme happening with the whole mermaid cards. Ocean could, you know, under the ocean, beneath the surface, you're subconscious. So there's that. I did also say, let's get a message from the mermaids instead of asking for spirit, source, God, creator, universe. Found that interesting. Found that very interesting. I'm not sure what to think of that yet. Don't know if you guys believe in mermaids or fairies or dragons or unicorns or whatever. I do believe in these mythical beings. Maybe not literally, maybe sometimes literally. But from what I understand, they live in the 7th dimension and we live in the 3rd. So they come to visit once in a while. They help. They can also come to play tricks on us. There's a fairy story I'll tell you guys someday, but today is not that day. And then at the very, very end, we talked about a lot of blue in the cards, right? Blue. Think about blues. If you got the blues, you're crying, right? And then on the very last card, I talked about being the sand and the pearl, right? Maybe you're the sand that irritates, but then you become the pearl. Well, what if the sand is your younger self? What if your newer self is the pearl? Because they're both the same thing. So I'm gonna leave you with that. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. I'm so sorry it took so long to put together, but you know, it's a thing. I don't know. It's been a weird day. Anyway, we'll be back on track tomorrow and we'll talk soon. Much love and light, guys. Take care.